The doors of the White House swing open, and the air is thick with anticipation. The world watches as two of the most talked-about leaders of our time step into the same room, Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelenskyy. One, a former U.S. president known for his bold, unpredictable style. The other, a wartime leader fighting for his country's survival. Their handshake is firm but charged, their expressions unreadable. What will this meeting reveal? A simple conversation or a high-stakes exchange that could shift the course of history? As cameras flash and advisors stand by, the tension in the room is undeniable. Zelenskyy, dressed in his signature dark military-style attire, sits upright, his gaze unwavering. He's here on a mission, to secure support, to strengthen alliances, to make his case directly to one of the most influential political figures in the world. Trump, in his navy suit and signature red tie, leans back slightly, hands open in a gesture of confidence or perhaps negotiation. His expression, a mix of curiosity and calculation. For months, speculation has surrounded this meeting. What does Trump truly think about the war in Ukraine? Will he offer support or strike a different tone? And most importantly, what does Zelenskyy hope to gain from this face-to-face encounter? These are the questions swirling as the conversation begins, every word carrying weight, every moment filled with political undertones. But just as the discussion begins to take shape, an unexpected shift changes the dynamic completely. A comment, a pause, a glance exchanged between the two leaders. Something is happening here. Something more than just diplomatic formality. Could this meeting reveal a turning point? A moment of agreement or deeper division? Stay with us as we break down what unfolded behind those closed doors, the hidden messages behind their words, and the global impact of this conversation. Because one thing is certain, this is a moment the world won't forget. The room stays silent for a beat too long. Zelenskyy shifts slightly in his chair, his hands clasped together as he waits for Trump's next words. The cameras catch everything, every blink, every twitch of a smile that isn't quite a smile. The weight of their conversation hasn't fully landed yet, but those watching closely can sense it. Something bigger is happening here. Something beyond the usual political pleasantries. Trump tilts his head, studying Zelenskyy like he's deciding his next move in a high-stakes game. His reputation is built on unpredictability, on keeping people guessing. And right now, that's exactly what he's doing. Will he offer his support, or will he challenge the Ukrainian president in a way no one expects? The world is watching, but only those in the room can feel the energy shifting. For Zelenskyy, this isn't just another meeting. It's personal. His country is in the fight of its life, and every handshake, every conversation, could mean the difference between survival and struggle. He knows the importance of keeping strong allies, and whether Trump becomes one of them is the unanswered question lingering in the air. The atmosphere tightens as an aide subtly leans in, whispering something into Trump's ear. Whatever it is, it doesn't break his focus. He finally speaks, his tone measured but firm. Zelenskyy listens intently, nodding, but something in his eyes shifts. Is it understanding? Is it concern? The conversation continues, but it's clear that this isn't just about politics. It's about power, influence, and the future of a conflict that has gripped the world. Every word exchanged between them could set off a ripple effect far beyond the walls of this room. Then suddenly, Trump pauses. He looks directly at Zelenskyy, his expression unreadable. And in that moment, something changes. It's impossible to tell whether it's a breakthrough or a breaking point. But one thing is certain, this meeting isn't over yet. Not by a long shot. What happens next could shift everything. The question is, are we ready for it? The room feels smaller now, the space between the two leaders charged with an unspoken challenge. Zelenskyy remains steady, his posture firm, but his mind is undoubtedly racing. He has come prepared, every argument, every statistic, every plea carefully thought out. But Trump is a different kind of opponent. He doesn't play by predictable rules, and his next move could go in any direction. Trump leans back slightly, tapping his fingers against the armrest of his chair. His expression is unreadable, but the way he studies Zelenskyy suggests he's weighing something carefully. It's not just about Ukraine, not just about war or diplomacy. It's about positioning, leverage, and power. He's been here before, sitting across from world leaders, making decisions that shift global politics. But this time, the stakes feel different. Outside the White House, reporters speculate wildly, cameras ready to capture even the smallest hint of what's happening inside. Political analysts argue over what Trump might say, what Zelenskyy might ask, and whether this meeting will bring them closer together or drag a wedge between them. Some believe Trump's unpredictable nature could lead to a breakthrough. Others fear it could create more uncertainty at a time when clarity is desperately needed. Inside the room, the tension continues to build. Zelenskyy finally speaks, his voice calm but filled with urgency. He knows that no matter what, he cannot leave this room empty-handed. He needs a commitment, something concrete, something real. His people are counting on him. His country's future is on the line. Trump listens, his expression neutral. Then he responds, but his words are not what anyone expected. There's a shift in his tone, a subtle change in his demeanor. Whatever he just said has caught Zelenskyy off guard, even if only for a split second. The Ukrainian leader recovers quickly, but the moment is there, a crack in the controlled exchange, a brief flicker of something deeper. Is this the turning point, or just the beginning of an even bigger confrontation? One thing is clear. Whatever happens next will define more than just this meeting. It could reshape the course of history. The air in the room feels heavier now, the weight of the conversation pressing down on both men. Zelenskyy keeps his focus sharp, his hands resting firmly on the table. He doesn't flinch, doesn't break eye contact. Whatever Trump just said has changed the rhythm of this discussion, and now every second feels like a test. A test of patience, a test of strategy, a test of power. Trump sits back, his expression unreadable, but there's something in his eyes, a flicker of amusement, maybe, or calculation. He knows the world is watching, hanging on to the smallest gestures, waiting for a signal that might reveal his true intentions. He thrives in moments like this, where uncertainty gives him the upper hand. But Zelenskyy has been in the spotlight too. He knows what's at stake and refuses to be thrown off balance. Aides in the background exchange glances, sensing the shift in tone. The tension has reached a breaking point, yet neither man is willing to be the first to back down. Zelenskyy presses forward, his voice measured but insistent. He's not here for empty promises. He needs answers. He needs action. And more than anything, he needs to know where Trump truly stands. Trump listens, not slightly, but his response is slow, deliberate. He's choosing his words carefully now, shaping them in a way only he understands. Then he leans in just a little, lowers his voice. Zelenskyy's expression hardens. Whatever Trump is saying, it's not what he expected. Outside, the press is growing restless. Reporters check their phones, scanning for the first sign of an update. Experts speculate on the outcome. Will this meeting change the course of the war? Will Trump commit to helping Ukraine, or will he take a different stance entirely? No one knows, and that uncertainty only fuels the suspense. Back inside, the conversation is reaching its peak. The energy in the room is undeniable, almost electric. The next few words spoken will change everything. Zelenskyy sits forward, his eyes locked on Trump. And then, just as the tension reaches its highest point, Trump speaks again. And that's when everything shifts. For a brief second, there is silence. Zelenskyy's expression doesn't change, but something in his eyes sharpens. Whatever Trump just said has altered the course of this conversation, though neither of them has fully revealed their hand yet. The tension in the room is thick, each man measuring the other, trying to anticipate the next move. But before Zelenskyy can respond, Trump does something unexpected. He leans back, crosses his arms, and smirks. The shift in his posture sends a message, though its meaning remains unclear. Is he testing Zelenskyy? Is he holding back something even bigger? Or is this all part of a strategy no one else can quite see yet? The Ukrainian leader doesn't break eye contact. He's used to high-pressure situations, but this moment feels different. He can sense that something else is at play, something he hadn't accounted for. And then, just as he's about to push forward, the door opens. A staffer steps inside, whispers something into the ear of one of Trump's aides, and quickly exits. The aide leans down, murmuring the message to Trump. His expression flickers, just for a second. But it's enough. Zelenskyy catches it. Something has changed. Trump straightens, the smirk now gone. He glances at Zelenskyy, but for the first time in this entire meeting, his attention seems divided. Zelenskyy notices immediately. Whatever information just came through is big enough to momentarily pull Trump away from this moment. And that's when it happens. Trump exhales, sits forward, and without hesitation, delivers a sentence that makes Zelenskyy's entire body go still. It's not just a shift in tone or a vague comment, it's a revelation. A second plot twist neither man saw coming. Something that complicates everything they've just discussed. Something that raises the stakes to an entirely new level. Zelenskyy doesn't react right away. He processes, his mind racing through the implications. The weight of what Trump just revealed settles in, and suddenly, this meeting isn't just about what they started discussing. It's about something much, much bigger. And in that moment, one thing becomes clear. This conversation is far from over. In fact, it's only just beginning. Zelenskyy's breath is steady, but inside, his mind is racing. The weight of Trump's words lingers in the air, shifting everything he thought he understood about this meeting. He had come expecting negotiations, perhaps difficult ones, but now the game has changed. He watches Trump carefully, searching for any sign of hesitation, any flicker of uncertainty. But there's nothing. Trump sits still, composed, waiting. He knows exactly what he just did. Zelenskyy finally speaks, his voice firm but measured. He needs clarification. He needs to be sure that what he just heard means what he thinks it does. Trump doesn't answer right away. Instead, he glances toward his aides, as if calculating whether to say more. Then, with a small nod, he confirms it. The room seems to shrink around them. Zelenskyy's jaw tightens. This revelation, this unexpected shift, changes everything. Outside, the press is still waiting, cameras ready, microphones poised. They have no idea what's unfolding behind closed doors, but the energy in the air has shifted. Something big is happening, and they can feel it. Experts on the news panel speculate wildly, but none of them are prepared for what's actually being said inside the White House. Back in the room, Zelenskyy leans forward, his voice lower now. If Trump is serious, if this is really the direction things are headed, there are consequences, big ones. He lays them out clearly, no theatrics, no diplomacy, just reality. Trump listens, nodding slightly, his expression unreadable. Then, just when it seems like the conversation is reaching its peak, he drops the final twist. It's not just about Ukraine. It never was. There's another layer to this, another factor that neither man had fully addressed until now. And as the realization sets in, both of them understand that this meeting, this moment, will have ripple effects far beyond what either had anticipated. A long silence follows. The weight of it all is undeniable. Then, at last, Trump stands. Zelenskyy follows. They shake hands, both men knowing that whatever happens next, the world is about to change. As their handshake lingers for just a second longer than expected, both leaders exchange a look, one of understanding, perhaps even mutual recognition. The conversation may be over, but the impact of what was said will continue to unfold in the days to come. Zelenskyy steps back, adjusting his jacket, his mind still replaying every word. Trump, too, appears deep in thought, but as he turns toward the door, his expression shifts back into something more familiar, controlled, unreadable. Outside, the press stirs as the doors finally open. The flashes of cameras burst to life, reporters shouting questions, eager to make sense of what has just happened. Zelenskyy walks out first, composed, focused. Trump follows, his usual confidence on full display. But beneath the surface, both men carry the weight of the conversation they just had. Neither reveals much as they briefly address the press. Their statements are measured, diplomatic, careful. The real details, the ones that truly matter, remain behind closed doors. Yet there's something in their body language, in the way they choose their words, that hints at something bigger. Those paying close attention can sense it. This was no ordinary meeting. Neither reveals much as they briefly address the press. Their statements are measured, diplomatic, careful. The real details, the ones that truly matter, remain behind closed doors. Yet there's something in their body language, in the way they choose their words, that hints at something bigger. Those paying close attention can sense it. This was no ordinary meeting. As Zelenskyy leaves the White House, he takes a deep breath. The world is watching, and every decision from this point forward will shape what happens next. He knows the stakes. He knows the risks. But he also knows that no matter how complex the situation may seem, leadership is about making the hard choices. And today, another one was set in motion. Trump, back inside, leans against his desk, staring at a document in front of him. For a moment, he says nothing. Then, with a slight smirk, he closes the folder and turns off the lights. The story isn't over. Not really. Because moments like these, powerful, history-shaping moments, always have consequences. And sooner or later, the world will see exactly what those consequences are.